Woof! That was my Mickey. Welcome to Dealing in Disney with Two Dogs Digs. Also known, I guess I should have called it with Doug Dogs Digs, which is, I guess, the focus of today's show. Thanks for joining us here on Tuesday night at the Hall Pass on Two Dogs Digs YouTube channel. Where am I? I'm in the middle. Where am I going? This side here. Tonight, we're going to be talking all about Disney. There's a couple of Disney things here. And my partner in crime for this is there. Good dog downstairs.
Hello.
So
I have no idea what I'm doing tonight.
no, he doesn't. He's just like, I just said, are you coming on the show? And he said, I just got to comb my hair. And I said, well, you don't have to.
Well.
What did you say? I said, you don't have to.
At least I have hair.
At least I have hair. So yeah. So I'll just shrink him for a moment there. So yeah, today we're going to be talking all about dealing in Disney, reselling Disney. Now, the thing is, this could be like a 5.5 hour show because there's so much stuff for Disney. We're going to try and sort of cover the top line on a lot of it, sort of talk to you about the things you can consider, because there's probably a lot of things you didn't even consider. Some things to avoid and some things that are really surprising in terms of values and things like that as well. So a big hello to everyone here. Hey, Michael's here, Janet, Louette, Heather, Lisa. He's Michael. Elisa. Hey, Kathy, Candace, thanks for popping in. And Diana, Marianne, Lisa. Hey, GC. That's a new name that I don't recognize. Thanks for popping in. Hey, Tamara, you made it. Mr. Carl. Greg watching from home. Kevin. We're all going to be Mouseketeers. You can be Annette. Okay. I'm kind of the leader, I guess, of this club. But yeah, there is. Secret word is Disney tonight. Yeah, so today that's what we're here to chat about, is dealing in Disney. And if you're watching now, great. Please comment in the comments section as we go along, or feel free, if you're watching this afterwards, to comment below, because we usually have a good amount of people who are watching the show afterwards. Let us know things that you think that we should have talked about. Maybe we can do another dive onto it in a few more months that's deeper into one or two of the things. So to start off with, why are we even considering knowing anything about Disney? Well, I'll just tell you that Rick, first of all, Rick will show you this. Wait, here we go. This is where we spent our 25th anniversary.
One of our anniversaries.
One of our anniversaries, yeah. We actually have been to Disney. We think Disney World 40 plus times. We
45 or 46.
Yeah. Disneyland, we've been to. He's been to once. I've been to 3 times. Or have we been to? No, we've been to twice, actually.
Disneyland in California twice for me.
Three times for me. But we are we're huge Disney fanatics. Hey, Paul. Thanks for popping in. So we're really, I've always been, personally, I've been a Disney fan. I watched Disney movies growing up. All the old school animation, all the new school, everything that's going on with Disney. I watch all of that stuff. I still do. We're subscribers to Disney Plus, and to all of the things that are Disney. And right now, this year, Disney is actually celebrating, starting in October or November, 100 years of wonder. So it's the 100th sort of celebration since Disney did its first Mickey Mouse stuff. This has never been and will never go. That doesn't, just because you've never been to a park doesn't mean you necessarily don't resell it. And Greg hasn't been on a ride in 45 years. Okay, Paul's been Disney Paris, wow, and Disneyland 1,000. Well, Paul lives near Disneyland, so you got to.
We live in California, or
maybe on that. Yeah,
we'd be there daily, probably.
Yeah, if we were in that market, we would. Right now, politically, we're just not going to Florida because of all the issues that are going on with the don't say gay laws in there. So we're not putting any money into that state at all. So we can't, until that gets fixed, we're not going to Disneyland Disneyland or Disney World, but we're planning a trip to Disney World or Disneyland in California, probably for February. But we're not sure about going to the rest of the world because he doesn't want to travel all over the world. So, but
yeah,
just about that. It's that's Diana's only been once, but no plans. Yeah, no plans to go because of the politics. Hey, Swoops. But it's one of the things that we just love is as collectors, and it's one of the things that as a reseller you can find tons and tons of. So we're going to take you through a few things to sort of go, here's some stuff that we have found and everything like that. So first off, wanted to remind everybody, like, what actually is Disney? Well, Disney used to just be Disney. It's not anymore. This is actually what Disney represents. So when we talk about reselling Disney, we could actually, and probably will, we could focus on doing one thing on half of these on their own. Disney owns Lucasfilm, which is the whole Star Wars empire. They own Marvel now, which is all the superheroes, well, except for DC, obviously. They own Pixar. They have Broadway. They have Marvel Studios. They have places different. They have the Disney Channel. They actually own Hulu. They own ABC Studios TV. So there is so much stuff that Disney actually owns and operates, including like Disney on Ice, which is what this little thing's from. I don't know what these two things are from. And I'm not actually sure what the use of these actually was, because this does nothing except if you spin her head, it lights up. And this does nothing except light up. But both of these I happen to pick up literally from somebody who went to a Disney on Ice show. This is lights up as the Rose from Beauty and the Beast. Still got its tags on it. These cost me 50 cents each. And there's actually a lot of resale opportunities on that. So this is one of the things we find, lots and lots of Disney stuff of all different kinds available for resale when you're going to garage sales and flea markets and everything like that. In fact, one of the things that I'm going to bring up right now, I'm just going to show this one little thing. Doug Days. This is our dog, Doug, which has an extra G on the end of our Doug. He may bark during the show. He might be down with Rick. I'm not sure, but that's how much we love Disney. Our dog is named Doug. But let me just go back to here where I was going to. Where was I going to go? There we go. So if you're thinking about does Disney sell, here's just some of the top just some of the top line stuff that you can see in there. So if we go to eBay, right now there are 1,400,000 things listed for Disney, and you can see under these, there's Disney Hats has its own category on this. And if we go to sold items in Disney alone, there is over 1.2 million Disney items in the last 90 days that have been sold. If we go to Etsy, there are, you can't see it on the top corner, 827,000 Disney listings on Etsy.
I wonder how many of them are real copyrighted items.
Oh, yeah, some of them, half of those are copyright infringement. So we'll just skip over that part of Etsy. Even if you go to someplace like Worthpoint, which has history in it, 15 million items just with the word Disney listed on Worthpoint. So again, this is one of the reasons that we love Worthpoint as a whole. We're going to do a little video on it. Is Worthpoint worth it? It really is. And this is one of the reasons. You got 15 years of this kind of research in there. In fact, it's such a big thing that Whatnot has over 1,200 Disney shows scheduled. Literally 1,200 Disney shows. So that's people who are just talking about Disney. And yep, Zero is a Disney character now too. So there's tons and tons of stuff out there if you're looking for something like that. And oh no, it's got it. I think the key for a lot of people is to think about what are the types of things you can do. Well, there's everything from, I just don't like my head that big, Rick. That's why I usually do this, because otherwise my head is jumping out there.
Okay.
Let's see. Marianne says, I've been to Disneyland many times, Disney World once, had a family reunion in Anaheim in April, and visited Disneyland in California with friends. I prefer CA, and it was cold. We've actually done New Year's Eve 5 times at Disney World, because our anniversary is actually January December 31st, January 1st. We've done 5 New Year's Eves. We've never done a Christmas. No. We've done 2 or 3 Halloweens. And at one point, when I collected this thing called Vinylmation, which we've talked about a little bit, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later, we actually went, I think our maximum was 5 times in 1 year. We went down for weekends. We literally went for Thursday. Oh, perfect. Very good. I'm glad. Elisa was trying to get a hold of somebody, and I hooked her up with Caesar, our rep, and good to hear that he's talked already. He hooked you up right away. So what was I saying?
You're talking about Vinylmation.
No, at theme parks and trips and things like that. And this is the other thing I want people to think about too is, and let's sort of, so there's all kinds of products out there, right? There's toys, there's collectibles, there's antiques, there's everything from antiques, like the 100-year-old stuff, to vintage, to retro, which is making it look like it's older, but it's not, to contemporary, to brand spanking new and flying off the shelves. What's brand spanking?
Artwork too.
Huh?
Don't forget the artwork and the animation cell.
Yeah, go for it. I'm looking for a link, Rick. So,
oh, jeez, you're throwing to me, and I'm not prepared.
You just interrupted me.
Just to say about the animation cells and the art.
Yes.
One of the things that we would go to down in Disney World is the Art of Disney, and they had tons of things. They had pieces that they would produce for you customized. You know, you bought it, you'd go back the next day and they would have printed it and framed it.
Jewelry, watches, Swarovski crystals, you name it. There's so much. There's pretty well almost anything that you would like to collect. There's probably something. And what I was going to say is, if you happen to be in the U.S., yeah, I just clicked that up before you did. If you happen to be in the U.S. right now, it's not available in Canada. This is the hot thing at the moment. McDonald's Happy Meals. There's Disney's 100th anniversary celebration, and they're, strangely enough, they made 62 to celebrate. I just don't understand. 62 figures to celebrate 100 things. So
that's weird.
This is the 62 that you can get. And there are people trying to collect these and fulfill these entire things. And there's so many people trying to collect these that literally people have started telling you, if you look for the number on the box, if you can see the box, there's actually a site that tells you if you see that 12 on a box, you know that that's the one that has Ant-Man and Olaf in it, because it has the number 12 on the box. Like that's that's how like crazy it is for people. So if you happen to be in the US, tons and tons of this. We actually did see the candlelight procession at Disney World. We've actually seen it twice. The last time
when we went, was it Neil Patrick Harris?
Like Neil Patrick Harris, I think, did the one, and then we also saw one with a Broadway star. I can't remember who, but that was our first time.
Oh, Christine Ebersole.
I think that's who it was. Yeah. Yeah. Mickey does go out of copyright this year. I don't know what they're going to do. Carl's like, they won't let that happen. Yeah, it's something about it as to what they can and cannot do. It's sort of like interesting what may go into the copyright, out of copyright itself. But there may be only certain images too that end up working with that, because Disney's characters have, like, again, within the whole thing, there's so many Disney characters. There's so many different ways you can collect and resell on this. I mean, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was just the simplicity that on Facebook itself, there are so many groups available that if you don't want to sell or you even want to find out information, you can find groups that are just specifically about individual things. So tell us the good from all the Disney crap. Well, that's the hard thing. I would say probably a third of Disney stuff out there is good. A third of Disney stuff out there is meh. And a third of Disney stuff out there is absolute crap. And you also have to watch for the potential of having a lot of knockoffs, because there are Disney knockoffs too. So let me just get back into where I was in here. Here's one of the things that most people really need to know. And this is probably the most important thing that you will learn if you haven't learned anything from us ever before, or if you need to learn something today.
Teach us. Teach us.
Huh?
Teach us.
This is probably one of the most important things, is learning Disney markings. So Disney markings have changed over the years from the 1920s, 1930, all the way through now. So this is actually what it actually ended up saying when they started marketing items. There are, let's see if I can get this a little bit bigger. These are the Disney production dates. So the biggest thing to kind of think about at the end of the day is that up until 1986, you saw different things underneath the name. So Walt Disney Enterprises was in 1939. Walter E. Disney is on foreign merchandise from the 1930s till probably the 1950s. WDP, or Walt Disney Productions, started coming into play then. And things that were also showing in there is from 1946 to 1951, Made in Occupied Japan had Disney on it as well. But here's the key thing for a lot of people, especially with what most people end up being able to find and collect right now. If it said WDP on it, they were on until 1970. So if you find something that says WDP or W period D period P period, those are the Walt Disney production codes that started back in 1939 up here, but they stopped using them in 1971 and started only using the words Walt Disney Productions. So when you see something, and I'll show you something I have right here, I think it's probably from it. Let me find something that I've got that has Walt Disney Productions on it. So I've got all this stuff here. So, that's not it. That's not it. That's not something. Here we go. I gotta get. So I've got a big box here behind me that's kind of stuffed with things, and this happens to be one of the things that they just opened on me as they turned it upside down. Here is, and Rick, I'm hoping you're going to be monitoring the thing and flipping so that I'm not off camera. Nick, Rick, Mr. Rick, are you going to do a job here and watch what I'm doing? Are you watching what I'm doing?
I was napping.
I know. Wake up. You're controlling the cameras for me here.
Oh, okay. That means I have to pay attention.
You have to pay attention. So this is actually Walt Disney Starlets, and you can see down in the bottom here, this is from Whitman Company, made in the USA. And where is the, there it is right there. 1960, Walt Disney Productions. So this is actually, right now it's empty because everything fell out. This is an old Walt Disney paper dolls thing. So the dolls themselves are now at the bottom of that box, and here's all the clothing that you could cut out for all the different dolls. So you could wear. And there's something for Annette to wear. There's something for Cinderella. There's something for Snow White. So that's Walt Disney Productions. So anything from that period. Actually, that's earlier than that. It says 1960. It says Walt Disney Productions on it. Maybe I have to update that. But the key thing, I think, for everybody is Walt Disney Productions went all the way up to, it says Walt Disney. It could say Walt Disney Productions after then. It just, the WDP is missing. That's right. WDP is missing from then on. But 1986 forward is Walt Disney Company or Disney, just plain old Disney. Those are the only things that they ended up putting on the stuff from that point onward. So if you see something, there's up to the present, it says Disney. So you can see a lot of things that actually have that logo on them. So here's an example. This is the Walt Disney Company on the bottom of that. So that's telling you that that is from 1986 or later. Because if it was earlier than 86, that would say Walt Disney Productions. If you look at something like, what else I got here? These happen to be, obviously, if they're a movie that you recognize as later, this is from Moana. So that's obviously going to be later. But you may also find things like this happens to be something that I happen to find. I actually got this, a couple of these. We've sold one or two, and this is our last one. This is actually a Disney FTD hanging display. So this is actually a display that went into, hung up from the little thing here. And this actually, again, this is newer, you can see, because it has just Disney on it. So that's actually one of the things that show, just to try and get you an idea on what you should be looking for in dates. Now, Paul has made a comment there, which is also one. If you see the letters WED or WDI, WDE is is for Walt Disney Engineering. It's also like, and I think it's WDI is Walt Disney Imagineering. I'm not sure if that's the right one or not. So again, it's the key thing I want you to remember from this is that if you're looking at it, I go back to this, Walt Disney Productions is prior to 1986. That's sort of your one takeaway. And anything after that, you can have a lot of problems dating things. I give you an example. This is a really challenging thing to date. We were trying, there's nothing, I haven't been able to find anything on the net that actually goes into detail for a lot of different sort of branding versions of things that happened in the late 80s, 90s, early 2000s. This is a perfect example. This is there's an entire line of this called Chef Mickey, and it was one of the things that was brought out. There are tons of them, like that logo, but nobody is able to date that logo that I can find anywhere. There is Mickey Unlimited, which is another huge logo, and it's another one that I know. When I was asking something at one point, Diana, one witch lady, actually said, I think I remember that from this period when I was down there with my kid. Like, so that's the kind of dating you get on a lot of this stuff. You have to guess that is it 80s? Is it 90s? It's still obviously vintage. But there's a lot of challenges with trying to date some of the stuff that's in there. That's one of the biggest things.
Yeah. And there's new Chef Mickey stuff from UNESCO.
Yeah.
It's not the same Chef Mickey logo. So it takes a while to try to sort through which Chef Mickey thing you have, and Google Image doesn't help much.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, actually, I remember when Bloom County did Mortimer Mouse. Bloom County's still around or back again. It looks like the 80s or 90s, yeah. But again, it's just one of those challenging things. There, late 80s to early 90s. And that's just it, as I said, Diane. It's like, but nobody can say it came out in 1987 and it ended in 1992. I haven't been able to find anything like that. And a lot of times when you try and see all those kind of things listed on eBay and those places, again, it's just, you don't really see it. So you've got to look for stuff and go, this kind of has much more of a vintage feel. It could have been retro, but it has more of a vintage feel. It looks like something that's probably older. It's not from the 2000s. So you keep that kind of thing in mind when you're looking at stuff. Things, I'll just show you some of the other stuff that we got. This is my Disney box. It's for an upcoming Whatnot show that we have. There are things that are like this, which is a little bag. Everything I see, you traitor, you coward, take that. And this is an unmarked bag. So this is probably, I think it's unmarked. No, it's actually Walt. This is a Disney World bag. So that's the other thing to watch for when you're looking at logos, is watch for Disney parks, Walt Disney World, Disneyland Paris, all that sort of stuff. So anything along those lines goes basically into one of the categories that I was going to talk about, which is think about the actual parks themselves, because there's collectors of all sorts of things like this. This is probably one of the ones that is a real, an easier thing to sell. It may have a limited group, but and it doesn't necessarily even mean that limited. But if somebody is looking for Epcot stuff, there's collectors of Epcot, there's collectors of Animal Kingdom, there's the water parks, not really. But if you go to where is Disney around the world, Disneyland Resort in Paris, which used to be called Euro Disney, Disneyland Land in California, Walt Disney World in Florida, which consists of Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom. Hollywood Studios used to be known as Disney MGM Studios. So if you saw something there, it's helping to date it older. There's Tokyo, Shanghai, and Hong Kong as well. So there's 6 parks that people can actually buy stuff from. And we find stuff from some of those parks in our thrift stores because of people who traveled and brought the stuff back and then end up donating it. Like, and when you find things, I think right now, Rick, I think we have a backpack from like the launch of Disneyland Paris, I think. There was a Visa backpack or something like that I literally just found recently. We have from the parks themselves, this is an old Walt Disney World ashtray, which these are fairly common. But still, a lot of people like them. There's all sorts of different shapes and images for the Walt Disney World, stuff like that. But not only that, but within the parks themselves, there's a lot of an actual lot of rides and things like that have a huge amount of collectibles to them. So here's an example of something that we actually really like, which is every time we go, we ride on the Haunted Mansion. And there are 10,000 sold Haunted Mansion items on eBay right now, and they range from busts to coins to there's another bust of Lucretia. There are ornaments. There's new stuff. There's characters as if they're with the ghosts. There's shirts and T-shirts. There's a chess set. Ooh, I like that. Ears, another big collectible for a number of people is ears. Now, there's the hitchhiking ghosts. Rick has beside him, I think, their hitchhiking ghost ornament. The Haunted Mansion is got an entire
whip.
Oh, the button gone out.
Yep. So sad. Oh, there we go. Nope. Yeah. I have to put a new battery in. I've been playing with it too much.
The Haunted Mansion is big with Hallmark this year. They actually have a tree topper, which is a $200 tree topper, and then 3 ornaments that hook up to it. And this is the first of 3 years worth of that specific line. So there's going to be they're going to come out every year for 3 years. Yes, and tiki mugs. We don't talk about tiki anymore, but tiki mugs too. So yeah, those are all sorts of different things that those rides have. Like, so there's people who just collect Haunted Mansion. There are I think 4 Haunted Mansion Disney Facebook groups just on its own. And even when you think about that, we just bought there was a shirt collection. We buy a lot of our shirts are by a company called Roosevelt's. And we just bought 2 shirts from their Haunted Mansion collection. One is which I should have had Rick put on, is their wallpaper. That's their wallpaper. I have a Muppet version of the wallpaper from D23 as a shirt. At the front of our house, years ago for our anniversary, I bought Rick a bat stanchion, which is this candelabra that somebody had manufactured on their own. So it's a lot of stuff that's out there. Again, that's just it. There's so much Disney stuff. I can't really point out this is a thing to buy, although there's a lot of potential for arbitrage. So if you recall from our standpoint, arbitrage is when you find something that's newer, like the McDonald's Happy Meal toys or those Hallmark ornaments, and they are brand new and you can flip them for really good money with a lot of people, because there's not as many of them as there are people who are really crazy about them. That's one thing for sure. Let me just see. The other, I think that one thing when you're thinking about that is so not only as there park and games that you could actually, like the park that you have, there's even games based on the park. So there's the Haunted Mansion ride. There's Pirates of the Caribbean. There is Tomorrowland stuff. There's stuff for various other rides. Not so much for like things like the Great Movie Ride, which I saw that, but there is some stuff for closed things like before Stitch's Great Escape, there was a thing called Alien Encounter,
Michael Jackson, Captain EO.
And Captain EO and closed rides. And there's still, again, collectors for a lot of that stuff. So do it when you're looking at stuff that's from a park, which you can find. We were at one garage sale this past summer and bought a whole bunch of stuff, including like the things from the Disney on Ice. And if you recall, we actually had Hercules Happy Meal plates that we bought from them for $1, and we sold the Hercules Happy Meal plates for over $100 US. That's one set that people can go crazy, absolutely crazy for. So yeah, there's a lot that people can go crazy for. One of the things that I found, and I've never gotten into to go crazy for, is pins. Now, we know a lot of people who do Hercules. Not that Hercules. That's another one. We know a lot of people who do collect pins. And Rick, you and I can attest when we went down there, like the pin trading that goes on is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, really nuts.
And like, because the lanyards that people wear actually have pins on the employees wear, and you can trade with them for that. But this is what I didn't even understand. I've never was a pin collector, but even at the Disney stores before they closed, you could see pins that they would sell at retail. Take a look at what some pins sell for. This is unbelievable to me. This is actually, I put in to eBay just a thing to say, I only want pins, Disney pins, from $100 to $500. I got 4,400 results, and some of them are literally just pin collections. So this set of Pixar or Disney chip Pixar foot Ramones hood set. I don't even know what that is. It looks like hoods from Cars. Yeah, I guess that is hoods from Cars, and that sold for $499. If I look up, and often they come in fancy stuff like this actual case here. So there's one pin, a little tiny thing in the middle there. That's the actual pin. Look, there is a pin, there is a pin, and there's a pin. So there's 5 pins on here, and this person has sold one for $500 and has another one. Yes, there are so many whatnot shows with Disney pins. And in fact, where we are happen to be in Southern Ontario, there is actually 4 times or 5 times a year, there is a traveling pin and Disney trading show that goes from the east end of the city of Toronto to Hamilton. And I think they're doing one in Windsor. And it's every 2 or 3 months, they do another event. And literally half of it is just people with hundreds of pins. And I know people who, if you can, this would probably be the amazing. If you ever find somebody who's selling a lot of Disney pins for a little bit of money, grab them. And you can flip them. They're easy to sell, easy to flip, like easy to mail. I mean, Rick and I think I went to one, I don't know if you remember this, Rick. We went to one little garage sale. I got a little tiny baggie. And in the baggie, it had like 5 pins and some, I think they're called jib jabs, which actually go into your magic bands, little rubber creatures, for like $1. I sold the jib jab pieces, just the little rubber things, for $10 a piece. I made $100.
They were like things that slid onto the band.
Onto the band itself. And
I don't think you have any left.
No, I don't. And the pins were like a bell pin and things like that. And it's easy to carl something, Google image it, and see where it comes from. And I still think I have 3 of the pins left, but I sold a couple of the pins for $20 and $30 a piece. So when that's what it's from, when Radiator Springs opened. We were actually there the week before Radiator Springs opened. That's the last time we were there.
Yeah, surprisingly, they had opened it up for people to walk around, didn't they? Or no, we had to peek through the fence.
We had to peek through the fence, yeah. Yeah, we loved the Disney store before it closed. Lots of stuff we bought at the Disney store. But yeah, so that, again, but pins, again, unbelievable what pins go for. And again, there's people in here, if you wanted to do an investment, there's the potential of you actually doing an investment in here to buy pin lots, because people sell their lots. They don't have to be on the cards. That's the one thing that you can pin. Like there's a pin right there, Bed Knobs and Broomsticks card from Disney Cruise Lines, $500. Like, take a look at some of these. And some of the pins are not small. They are like gigantic pins. I remember, again, before the Disney store closed, they had pins of like the castles, Cinderella's castle from everywhere, right? All the castles. It's Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty and various places. They're a different castle. And the pins themselves are about that big. And the pins were $79 a pin. And I thought, who would pay $79 a pin? Well, they sold out in like a week. So you've seen collections at garage sales for massive asking prices. Yeah. Also a lot in on YouTube. So you can take a look at pin trading, beginning pin trading, things along those lines. Those are called jumbo pins. See, some people know Paul is a big Disney person. So he knows a lot of this. I probably should have had him on, and he could have actually talked better at this than we do, because he is as much of more of a Disney fanatic probably than we are in some cases. But there's lots of stuff like that. The other thing to think about, if you're into not even looking at pins, but just again consider Disney as a whole, and not just the parks, but all of the shows that it involves. There's collectors for all of the different things. So this just happens to be some images that are out there. Everything from what you might not think about being, oh, this can't be really good. Who is that? What is that? Lilo and Stitch has a huge following to them. There's Bambi on this. There's Bambi. There's Lumiere. There's Ursula. The white guy is Baymax, which is a very underrated movie. Tarzan, which is a very overrated movie. We've got the chicken there from Moana. We've got from Encanto, Genie from Aladdin, and Zootopia, Fox from Zootopia. So those are all really, like, there's people who collect all these different types of things. So again, we're just stressing there's so much stuff out there. You will always have to research this, though. You can pick up anything you see at a garage sale or a flea market or a thrift store, but you're going to really need to do a little bit of work on it, because some of the stuff, again, there's stuff that's in there that has really amazing values to it, stuff that has no real value to it. And some of the stuff that has no real value are these collectibles that that Disney sort of brings out, gets everybody hyped up about, and then they drop. Vinylmations is one of those things that drives me absolutely crazy, because it's coming back, though. They've just started re-releasing them. So Vinylmations are one of what I call the group of what we'll call the Disney fails. So these are things that Disney brought out, hyped, and people went crazy about them, and then they just decided that was enough of this. So first, what I'm going to bring out is Vinylmations. Vinylmations are these figures that were made, and we actually still have some of them, but I don't even want to think about how much money we spent on these at one point. These are all things that were done as what we call blind boxes. So a blind box meant you bought a box, you didn't know what was in it, kind of like the McDonald's one, but now you know what number to look for. And inside you open it up to see what you got. So this is actually Disney, you can see. So it's the Mickey Mouse shape, and this happened to be from their Marvel series, so it's Iron Man. But you can see everything had the Mickey Mouse ears in it. My others are all set. Well, I can stand up there for a second then. So here's another one, which is they took a clock and made it into the Haunted Mansion clock. And I still got a series of them up there, Star Wars and some of my favorites. At one point, that was when we went 5 times a year. They were $9 to $12, $15 a box, and you didn't know what you were going to get in there. So we ended up having to buy them and end up with more than one thing. I've told this story before about them, which is that the Toy Story series, which I really wanted, I couldn't get Buzz or Woody. I kept getting this one, which was the Big Baby, and it drove me absolutely crazy, so much so that the manager of the store, when I came in like multiple times over a period of weeks, and every time I opened it in front of her, I got another Big Baby. She felt sorry for me. She went to the back and gave me her Woody and her Buzz so that I could actually complete the set because she saw me spending $100 on those. We did sell a lot of those at the time when there was a lot of hype around them, and we actually took them to toy shows and sold them, and we did fairly well with them. On Whatnot, there's a little bit of a resurgence, so we're doing okay with them, but in most of the cases, they're selling for $3 to $5, or anywhere actually from $1 to $3 to $4 in some cases. And so with that, you're losing 60-70% of the value from what it originally was. So that's one of the things. Always watch what something was a hype for. So this is another thing that was a huge hype for, Disney beanies. Now, there are still some Disney beanies that may have a little more value. These don't necessarily have big value to them, but you may find a lot of Disney beanies. Well, there's a few versions of, like Paul said, Vinylmation is the Disney version of Beanie Babies. There's so many versions of Beanie Babies. So Disney beanies are one, the Disney plush, because when Beanie Babies went nuts, then Disney started bringing out those like crazy, and Rick took the picture off the screen. So there's all of those kind of things like that are out there. So again, you might be able to find these inexpensively. We actually bought a box load of about 40 of them for $20-25, I think. So less than $1 a piece. And we've sold a few of them. They're not big money makers, but there are one or two. Again, doing the research, you'll find that kind of thing. Here's another one of them that is a terrible thing that they did, which was they started bringing out these things called Sum-Sums. And these were little small plush. It was right after Vinylmation they went to these, and they were little small plush. And they brought these out for about 3 to 4 years. And it was, again, one of those things that people went crazy when they came into the stores. Some of the figures would sell out immediately. And then the aftermarket, the reselling market, went crazy on that side of things as well. So you do want to watch out for. There was another one after the Sum-Sums that came out with these little sort of plush, another version of plush, which you could buy clothing for. Unami, Paul probably remembers the name of them. Something like Unami or something like that was the name of them. And they were big for a very short time, and then Disney dropped them. So that's the thing you have to watch, is some of the stuff that's maybe hot in the arbitrage kind of area. But even now that it's passed, you can't get rid of any of these things. You can't get rid of some. So you want to watch when you're looking at that kind of stuff, and just even Disney plush in general. I wouldn't go towards a lot of Disney plush in general. Especially in the bigger plushes, you want to make sure that you're researching exactly what it is, because there's so much Disney plush that is just like, again, it's not worth the stuff it's sewn with, like, because it's just so old. I find stuff that is, there's all different things. There's older, newer. When you're looking up items, you can see sometimes you'll find something and they'll look a little different, and it could be because of the age. So here's an example of some things that are older Mickey characters. So Mickey has changed, his face changed over a number of years. So you can see the difference between like that. This is truly a Mickey Mouse toy. That's an old Mickey Mouse toy, but you might not even look at it and go, what's that? So it's just something that it is a Mickey Mouse. So you have to do a little research on it. And again, there's so much stuff that's in here. Older looking Plutos. Goofy look different. Pinocchio look different. They all look different back years and years and years ago when they originally started doing this stuff. What is D3? It's D23, and that's Disney's Collectible Club, and WDCC is the Walt Disney Collectibles Club. Paul saying the Headless Horseman Ichabod Crane sells for $1,200. That's the one Diana wants. But yeah, it's, again, snow globes. Elisa just sold a snow globe for $100. So Disney snow globes can do very well again. So these are just the kind of things that you want to keep your eyes open for. So many different options available to you in the Disney world itself. There are some amazing books that can help you on here. So we actually are one of the, if you join Worthpoint, this is something that's interesting for some people who may end up doing. The link for Worthpoint will be in our description for this video. But Worthpoint has a section which is called their library. And in their library itself, they have, 15,000 books. that you can actually read online. And here's a perfect example. You can go into Disney, and here's 3 Disney collectible books they have. And the great thing is you don't have to own this anymore. You can go into here and actually right in there, you get to read the book. And so on screen, on your computer, it'll come up and you're actually able to take a look at it. And page by page, the book is scanned in there. So you can actually go through all of the words that are in there. And here, this is the early years of Disneyana.
You can actually search on the text in the books as well.
And try to do a little bit of a deeper dive into places like Facebook, which have some great Disney groups that you can find out more information about, or you can specifically sell in. Again, for us within Facebook, I think I'm in 6 or 7 different Disney groups on Facebook, and that is closed on me as well today. So within the Disney group section, let me see if I can open this one up quickly, groups, and I will search for my Disney connection. So in the Disney groups section, there are, just so you can pop it up so everybody can see, Disney Canada. Let's see if I make this bigger. Disney Canada, buy and sell, Canadian Disney fans, GTA. So there's 3 that are just Canadian here. Vintage Collectibles, 19,000 members, 57,000 people in Disney pin trading, 56,000 in Disney online yard sale. Like, it's 52,000 for this yard sale. Disney plush collectors, Disney garage sale, vintage Disney World, gay Disney fans, Disney Facebook sale. And then there's all the things about tips and tricks. So you can look at a lot of those things as well. And yeah, Mr. Christmas stuff, if you can find that. Right now, I think the big thing to be looking out for would be Disney ornaments and any Disney Christmas stuff. So Disney ornaments, Disney lights, Disney interactives for Christmas, because those will be big things that people are looking for right now. Disney plates, there's Disney Christmas plates, there's Disney Christmas mugs, there's so much Disney Christmas stuff on its own. There's a Disney Christmas store.
We just sold the Disney countdown clock.
There's a Disney spotlight. There you go. That, so it counted down Christmas. And again, this is $7. And we have another one that we actually just bought that's the same thing. So it counting down, shows countdown to Christmas as your lights, and it literally, when you set it, you set the time on it, so it's coordinated, and it literally counts down the days. And we sold that we accepted $80 on it and listed for $90, and it was used. So again, take a look at that stuff. Yes, hashtag Disney. You can find stuff everywhere that you can resell, and that's just what we wanted you to do. So if anything, there's the key takeaways from this are, number 1, feed Rick before he comes onto a show. Number 2, make sure your internet connection isn't going crazy like it seems to be today. Number 3, if you see something that says Walt Disney Productions, then it's from prior to 1986. If it says anything else like Disney or just Disney Company, it's from 1986 to newer. And recognize when you look at the items that you've got to do that extra bit of research. Even if you're at, unless it's not, doesn't cost you anything and you're at a garage sale, don't go buying $5 and $6 plushes and buy 50 of them and try and think that they're all going to be reselling for $50. Don't spend $70 on a Walt Disney Collections porcelain figurine without doing the research in advance of that. Try, like, if you're buying a baggie for $2.99, sure, but if you don't do some research on it, like, I don't even know how much this is, but I know it didn't cost me more than a couple of dollars. I know these cost me, like I said, like probably 50 cents. I know that cost me about $1. I know this, which is a really bizarre little thing that we found that is licensed, but foreign. So Walt Disney Company Japan is because everybody needs a little vinyl milk jug. I don't even understand that. But yeah, it's a vinyl milk jug with a Japanese Walt Disney tag on it. And this cost me 50 cents at a garage sale. So I picked it up. Why? Yes, Disney shirts can do amazing, especially vintage Disney shirts. We actually sold one of those that I got for $1 at an estate sale. It was a 1970s Walt Disney World shirt, and we sold it for almost $100. Some Disney shirts can go for way over that. So, You got to do the research, unfortunately, but that's the whole world. Disney is so big, it can't even be handled like in one show. So we might try and do this again later and just focus on one single thing, maybe. Like, I'm not sure how we'll do it because there's just, when I went to build this, it was like, there's so much to talk about. So sorry I couldn't show you more, but hopefully those are the things to remember. 1986 or before, Walt Disney Productions. 1986 or after, says Disney. And do the research, I guess. Thanks so much for joining us here on this less than spectacular show. So we will hopefully do better next week. But I have to go.
What are you talking about? It was a fantastic show. You are fantastic. Be happy. I'm grumpy.
You're talking again. You're talking again.
Yes, I am.
Go away. Bye, everyone. We'll see you again sometime soon. Hopefully next week.